welcome back. We are continuing with our discussion about quadratic equations, and now we have a question here. What we are going to deal with right now is that when they have given you a quadratic equation and they are saying form other quadratic equation from those roots which they have given you. Now for this case, for this question, they are saying that the roots of the equation of this equation, which is x squared, that is solution for the equation which is x squared minus px plus aq equals 0. So they are saying the equation, the roots of this equation are alpha, they are alpha and beta. So when they give you a question like this and they say that their roots are alpha and beta, or any roots for a and b, what you do, first get the sum and the product in this equation. We say the sum is got by getting the number which is in the middle, which is the b. So we get the sum which is a plus b. Sum is just an addition of the roots, which is alpha plus beta, which gives us, when we say here when we are getting the sum, that when in the equation they are, or the equation they are given that the sum is a negative. So here when we are writing it, we write it as a positive. So here it becomes a p, that alpha plus beta equals p. Also alpha beta is the same as a q. So that is it. Then after getting the sum and the product in the roots which they have given us, so what we get now is the sum and the product for, now we are going to form the quadratic equation for the following. Like now, if we begin with part A. Part A, they are saying that form quadratic equations for these values. They are saying that the first one is alpha squared, then and the second one is beta squared. So they want us to form a quadratic equation from this. We said when you are getting a quadratic equation, since the format is in form of x squared minus the sum of roots, and then x, then plus the product of roots, which will give us a 0. Now for this case, we have to get the sum and the product now in these roots. So these are the roots, the second roots which they have given us. They want us to form a quadratic equation in these ones. So what we do, get the sum of roots. So getting the sum, it means we are adding this one plus that, which is alpha squared plus beta squared. So now we have to get now, what do we get after adding a squared plus b squared? We know we said when we are getting this one, we get from what we know which can be expanded. Now when we are expanding this cannot be expanded. What we do, we have to bring in the a, which is the alpha plus beta, then everything is squared. So this one can be expanded in form of this. So for this case to be alpha, squared. So when you expand this, it becomes 2 alpha beta, then plus the beta squared. So when you expand this, we get this one. So after getting this one, we have to bring this one and this one together, the square together. So this one will be alpha plus beta squared, which will give us alpha squared plus beta squared, then minus 2 alpha beta. So that is an expansion which we can get out of this. So we have, since we need to get this one, which is here, make it the subject. We said when we make it the subject, it will be alpha squared plus beta squared equals, so bring this one the other side, so it becomes alpha plus beta plus beta squared. So we are taking this one was a plus. So if we take a plus, the other side becomes minus 2 alpha beta. So that's what we get out of this. So for that case, after getting this, remember they are saying that they want us to get the sum of roots of this one. So we got our sum and the product of roots from the other equation. So the equation which we used to get the sum and the product of roots at first is what now we put in this one. Because you come here and check what is alpha plus beta, you put it there, then alpha minus alpha beta, then you put it there. So for this case, it will be the alpha plus beta squared, which is p squared minus the 2 with the value of beta, which is a q. So for this case, this one will be the sum, which is alpha plus beta squared. So now after getting the sum, get also the product. The product will be the product of roots, which is the same as saying alpha squared times beta squared, which will give us alpha beta, the whole thing squared. Then from there, substituting the value of alpha beta, which is a q, just which will give us a q squared. Then from our general equation of the quadratic, so what we do, we substitute in now the product and the sum. So for that case, our equation becomes x squared minus, we say the minus, then the sum which is p squared minus 2q, then x, then plus a q squared, which is equal to 0. So that's how we can form quadratic equation from the other quadratic equation which they gave us to get another quadratic equation in terms of other roots. So now equation B saying that form quadratic equation in these roots. So now when they give such a roots, what do we do? So the first thing is to get the sum and the product of roots in the first equation which they gave you, which will help you get also the other equation in form of the roots which they have given us. So that's what we are going to do. Now for this case, they are saying that the B they are saying it is this one and this one. So now what do we do on this? What we do, it is which is alpha. So we first get the sum straight away, sum of roots. So the sum of roots we are saying it is this one plus this, which is alpha out of beta plus beta out of alpha. Then from there we get now the LCM. So for this, the LCM is alpha beta. So after getting the LCM, we continue with this. So for this case, it is the alpha beta, the LCM. So when we divide by this, we get alpha, so it becomes alpha squared. Also this one plus a beta squared. So now we have to see how we can deal with this so that we can come out with the alpha plus beta and alpha beta. So we have to deal with this. We said when we expand this one, we have to get something like alpha plus beta, the whole thing squared minus 2 alpha beta, then alpha out of alpha beta. So having got this one, we have now to substitute in the values of alpha plus beta and alpha beta, which now gives us the p squared minus 2q out of q as our sum of roots. Then from there also get the product of roots. So this one, the product now becomes this one times this So which is alpha out of beta times beta out of alpha. So for this case, when we multiply the two, this one and this one we cancel, then that and that we also cancel, which the result we get as 1. So we know from the general equation, the general quadratic equation, which is given by x squared minus the sum of roots, then times that value of x, then plus the product must give us a 0. So now we substitute in the sum and the product, get our equation. So the sum here which we have got is this one here. It is x squared minus p squared minus 2q, then out of q, then times that value of x, then plus the product which is 1. So must give us a 0. So we said when you reach on this one and you have something like a fraction, don't leave your answer like this. What we do, we get the LCM, then get the, after getting the LCM, multiply all through the equation by the LCM. So for this case, this will give us our final answer as when we get the LCM is q, multiply all through by q, which gives us q x squared, then minus the p squared minus 2q, then x, then plus a q, which will give us a 0. So this one will be our quadratic equation for these two roots. So I think that one is being understood. So we are stopping there. Thank you.